Happiness, we chase it our entire lives. We run toward success, love, approval, and recognition, believing that once we have enough, we'll finally feel complete. Yet, no matter how much we achieve, the feeling fades. We wake up one morning and realize the world gave us everything except peace. This speech is not about adding more to your life. It is about seeing differently. Because true happiness doesn't begin when life becomes perfect. It begins when we stop believing it ever needed to be. If you stay till the end, you'll learn how to dissolve the hidden illusions that steal your peace and uncover the quiet joy that was waiting within you all along. Since childhood, we are taught that happiness lies somewhere ahead of us, waiting just beyond the next achievement, the next milestone, the next applause. Work harder, they say. Earn more, own more, become more. So we run, we climb, we collect. And for a brief moment, when we finally hold what we've been chasing, we feel it, a spark of joy, a taste of satisfaction. But it fades, always. And the mind whispers again, maybe I need something else. Maybe the next thing will finally complete me. This is the great illusion of the human journey, the idea that happiness is found outside ourselves. The truth is, the more we chase, the further we drift from the peace that was always within. Happiness built on more is fragile. It trembles at the smallest loss. It depends on conditions, on praise, on wealth, on success. Yet all conditions change. What happens then when the applause stops, when the noise quiets, when you are left alone with your thoughts? If your joy lives only in what you have, it will disappear when those things do. Look around at the world, people surrounded by abundance yet restless. We live in an age of endless options, yet deeper dissatisfaction. We have learned how to reach the stars, but forgotten how to sit still under them. The mind's hunger for more is never ending because it feeds on emptiness. It believes that once it gets, it will finally rest, but that rest never arrives. You can feed desire 1,000 times, and still it will whisper, just once more. True peace begins not when we gain everything, but when we stop believing that we must. Imagine a person standing in the middle of a storm, holding out a cup to catch raindrops, hoping to fill it. The harder they try, the more the rain splashes out. But if they simply place the cup down and wait, it fills effortlessly. That is the nature of happiness. It flows into the mind that has stopped chasing. The joy you are searching for is not hiding in the next goal, the next purchase, or the next praise. It is in the pause between breaths, the quiet smile of gratitude, the simple presence of being alive. When you stop running after life, life begins to run toward you. You don't need to earn happiness. You need only to remember it. It was never lost, only buried beneath the noise of wanting. So pause, breathe, feel the life within you. This heartbeat, this breath, this awareness, all of it is enough. When the heart finally understands that more will never satisfy the soul, that is the moment it begins to rest. And that rest is happiness. The world you see is not truly the world. It is the reflection of your own mind. When the mind is restless, even beauty feels dull. When the mind is peaceful, even the simplest things shimmer with quiet joy. The problem is not always in the world. It is in how the mind interprets it. Like a mirror covered in dust, our perception becomes blurred by thoughts, judgments, and expectations. We spend our days trying to polish the reflection, changing our surroundings, our possessions, even the people in our lives, but rarely do we clean the mirror itself. If your mind is clouded by fear, you will find danger in every shadow. If it is filled with gratitude, you will find light even in darkness. The world reflects what you carry within. Think of a still lake on a windless morning. When the water is calm, it reflects the sky perfectly. But when disturbed, the reflection breaks into chaos, and the sky itself seems distorted. Has the sky changed? No, only the surface that reflects it. Our consciousness is the same. When disturbed by desire, anger, or worry, the whole world looks distorted. We blame people, situations, or fate, but the real turbulence is inside us. The clearer our mind becomes, the clearer life appears. Modern life constantly pulls our attention outward. We scroll through images, chase opinions, and absorb endless noise. Yet all this time, the mirror of the mind becomes foggier. We forget to pause and look within, to wipe away the dust of distraction. Try this. Close your eyes and take a slow, deep breath. Watch your thoughts as they come and go. Don't fight them. Don't follow them. Just notice them. Slowly, they begin to settle, like dust floating down in a beam of sunlight. In that stillness, something beautiful happens. You start seeing the world as it truly is. A leaf becomes a miracle. The sound of rain feels sacred. Every breath feels like a gift. Peace is not the absence of chaos outside. It is the presence of clarity inside. When your inner mirror is clean, even life's challenges reflect wisdom instead of fear. We often say, I'll be happy when life gets better. But what if life gets better when you see better? Happiness is not about controlling every reflection. It is about polishing the mirror. The secret is gentle awareness. Not judgment, not resistance. Awareness cleans without effort. It notices without clinging. It accepts without blame. When you live with awareness, you stop reacting and start seeing. And when you truly see, peace naturally arises. Not as something you create, but as something that has always been there, waiting beneath the dust. So remember, if the world seems unclear, don't fight the reflection. Clean the mirror. Because when the mind is still, life itself becomes a reflection of peace. Nothing steals peace faster than comparison. From a young age, we are taught to measure our worth through others, their grades, their looks, their achievements. Slowly, without realizing it, our hearts become prisoners of comparison. We look at another smile and feel our own gloom. We see someone else succeed and feel our peace disappear. The mind whispers, they are ahead, you are behind. And so begins the quiet suffering of measuring life through someone else's story. But comparison is a mirage. It shows you what appears to be more, yet hides what you already have. When you compare, you forget your own path. You stop seeing the beauty of your unique journey and start walking in shoes that were never meant for you. Imagine a flower in a field. It never looks at the one beside it and says, you are brighter. It simply blooms, trusting the sunlight that was meant for it. Your life, too, has its own timing, its own rhythm, its own light. We compare because we believe there is a shortage of happiness, as if joy is a competition. But peace is not a trophy. It's a state of mind. Someone else's success does not diminish your potential. Someone else's beauty does not lessen your worth. The sky does not compete with the sea. Both reflect the same light in different ways. When we live through comparison, we live in illusion. We see only fragments, the smiling photos, the polished words, the moments others choose to show. But we forget, every soul hides a silent struggle. The person you envy may be praying for the peace you already have. The heart can never be free when it is constantly measuring. Freedom comes when we begin to appreciate instead of compare. Gratitude opens the door that comparison locks. Start each morning by saying, may I find joy in what I have and peace in who I am. When you do this sincerely, a quiet strength grows inside. A strength that doesn't need to compete because it already feels whole. The cure for comparison is awareness. Each time your mind says, look at me, gently respond, look within, bring your attention back to your breath, to your presence, to the miracle of simply being alive. In that moment, you'll feel something subtle, peace returning home. Remember, the sun does not rush because another shines. It simply rises in its own time. You, too, are rising. Not slower, not faster, but in perfect harmony with your journey. When we stop comparing, we begin to see life not as a race, but as a garden, each soul blooming in its own season. And when you finally realize this truth, you are free. Free to be at peace, free to be yourself, free to be happy. In a world that never stops moving, stillness feels almost unnatural. Every second, something demands our attention. A message, a task, a thought, a worry. The noise of life grows louder, and the silence of the heart grows dimmer. We wake up to screens and fall asleep to distractions. But beneath this constant motion lies a truth. You cannot hear peace while the mind is shouting. Stillness is not the absence of life, it is the foundation of it. It is the quiet space in which everything meaningful unfolds. Think of the ocean. On the surface, waves rise and crash, full of chaos and movement. Yet deep below, the water remains calm, untouched by the storms above. The same is true within you. The surface of your mind is filled with thoughts, desires, memories, worries. But deep inside, beneath all of it, lies a vast stillness, unshaken, peaceful, eternal. You do not have to create it, you only need to remember it. Most people fear silence. They fill it with noise because they are afraid of what they might hear, the echo of their own thoughts, the loneliness they've been avoiding, the questions they've never faced. But silence is not empty, it is full of answers. Sit quietly, even for a few minutes each day. Let the world continue its noise while you return to your breath. Feel it enter and leave, like the tide returning to the sea. Don't fight your thoughts. Watch them drift by, like clouds across a vast sky. With time, the space between them grows wider, and the light of awareness begins to shine through. In that moment, you'll feel something subtle yet powerful. Peace that does not depend on anything outside you. This is the power of stillness. It connects you to the essence of who you are before the noise of the world told you otherwise. When your mind is still, your actions become clear. When your heart is quiet, your words carry truth. From stillness comes understanding. From understanding comes compassion. Even in the busiest day, you can find small moments of stillness. While sipping tea, walking slowly, watching the sunset. You don't need to escape the world to find peace. You just need to stop letting the world escape you. Remember, stillness is not doing nothing. It is being fully present in everything. It is hearing the silence between words, feeling the breath between moments, and finding eternity in a single now. When you learn to rest in stillness, life no longer feels like a race. It becomes a rhythm, calm, patient, full of grace. And in that rhythm, you will discover that peace was never gone. It was only waiting beneath the noise, waiting for you to listen. Hebrew. When the heart opens, peace follows. Compassion is not just an act. It is a way of seeing. It is the understanding that every person you meet carries invisible burdens, dreams, and fears, just like you. We often believe happiness is a personal journey, something we must achieve alone. But the truth is, happiness expands only when shared. No one finds lasting joy in isolation, for the soul blossoms in connection. A single candle lighting another, compassion does not lose its flame. It multiplies it. In a world driven by competition, compassion feels like rebellion. Yet it is the most natural expression of our humanity. The heart that feels for others softens the edges of its own pain. When we care, when we listen, when we help, even in small ways, we dissolve the illusion of separation that causes so much suffering. Imagine looking into the eyes of a stranger and realizing they too have laughed, cried, loved, and lost. Beneath the differences of color, culture, and belief, the same longing exists, the longing to be understood, to be at peace. Compassion begins with awareness, but it matures through understanding. It is not pity, it is presence. It is sitting beside someone in silence, not to fix their pain, but to let them know they are not alone in it. The mind often says, "What can one person do?" But even a single kind word can lift a weary heart. A gentle smile can change a heavy day. A small act of care can ripple across lives in ways you may never see. True compassion is not about giving from abundance, it's about giving from understanding. It is the hand that lifts, the voice that comforts, the heart that forgives. When we live this way, happiness becomes effortless, not because we have more, but because we need less. When you replace judgment with curiosity, when you see beyond appearances, when you wish well for others, your inner walls begin to fall. And in that falling, freedom arises. Even towards yourself, compassion is essential. So many hearts suffer not from the cruelty of others, but from their own harshness. Learn to forgive yourself, to speak gently to your own soul. You too are a being deserving of kindness. The great paradox is this. The more you give love, the more you feel. The more you wish peace for others, the deeper peace you find within. Because the heart that truly loves no longer feels separate from the world. It becomes one with it. When you see another person not as them, but as a reflection of us, you begin to live from the source of happiness itself. So let your compassion flow in words, in silence, in presence. For every act of kindness you offer to the world is, in truth, an act of healing your own heart. We spend most of our lives chasing moments that have already passed or worrying about those that haven't arrived. The mind is rarely here. It lives in memories and expectations, in regrets and hopes. Yet, in doing so, we miss the only place where life truly exists, this moment. Presence is not something you must learn. It is something you must return to. It is your natural state, the quiet awareness that watches thoughts rise and fade, the silence between two breaths, the space beneath all doing. The past is a story already told. The future is a dream not yet formed. But the present, this very heartbeat, this breath, is the only reality you can ever touch. When you live fully in it, you are free. So many of our worries come from leaving the present. We carry yesterday's pain into today's sunrise, and we paint tomorrow's fears onto a sky that is still clear. The mind keeps us wandering, but the soul longs to rest here, in you. Notice how peace feels when you pause, not when everything is perfect, but when you stop demanding that it should be. When you listen, truly listen, to the sound of your breath, to the hum of life around you, you realize that presence is not an act of doing, it is an act of being. In presence, time slows down, the heart softens. The small things, sunlight through a window, the laughter of a child, the scent of rain, become holy again. You begin to see that happiness was never hidden in distant dreams. It was simply unnoticed in ordinary moments. When you are present, you are no longer the prisoner of thought. You see thoughts come and go, but you no longer believe every one of them. The storm still passes, but you are no longer lost within it. That is true freedom, the freedom to experience life without being controlled by it. Presence brings clarity. It allows love to be felt more deeply, pain to be understood more gently, and gratitude to arise naturally. Every mindful moment is a step out of illusion and a step into truth. So take a breath, not as a routine, but as a reminder. Feel the air enter, feel it leave. With every inhale, you receive life. With every exhale, you release everything that no longer serves you. This is where peace lives. Not in the past you mourn or the future you imagine, but in the eternal now that has always been here, waiting for your attention. When you learn to live in the present, you no longer need to chase happiness. You become happiness, because joy, awareness, and peace are not destinations. They are the essence of who you are when you finally stop running. And in that still, sacred moment of presence, you are truly free. My dear friend, you've been searching for happiness as if it was something to find, but it was never lost. The peace you seek has always been inside you, quietly waiting beneath your thoughts, beneath your desires, beneath your fears. When you stop running, when you breathe, when you simply be, you will realize, Ibrahim, you were never truly unhappy. You were only unaware. This speech is a creative and inspirational interpretation inspired by universal teachings of mindfulness, peace, and compassion. It is not an official message or direct representation of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, or any religious figure. The purpose of this content is to encourage personal reflection, emotional healing, and inner awareness. Listeners are invited to interpret these words in their own way and apply them gently to their lives. All narration, expression, and presentation belong solely to the creator of this content.